Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, joined by Miguel Porter. Miguel, you were just traveling abroad. Is Canada abroad? That counts, right?
Yeah, you gotta cross a border,
Yeah.
hand
Uh,
over a passport. Yeah,
I I've never looked up what that actually means. Like that's just like something you hear, but
yeah,
all right, what does it mean? Does it mean over an ocean, over a border, abroad? That kind of seems close to a border. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah. No, it must be just like another country because I feel like they say it over in Europe and they don't have to like cross oceans to get to other countries in Europe. So
All right, that's true. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that they said it over there. So, all right, hey, I'll have to look it up. Maybe this will be a regular Google search instead of a Chat GPT. We'll let Google handle this one. Although I was literally reaching for my phone right now, and I'm like, maybe I should ask my good friend Chat GPT. And no, all right, we'll we'll hold off on that. So I'll look it up. So how was the trip?
it was good. Yeah. Um, it's Canada and it's winter,
Yeah.
so cold, but thankfully the weather kind of held up. And the toughest part of the drive there was probably here in Albany because it was kind of wet.
Mm.
But honestly, as I got past Buffalo and into Canada, like it was pretty fine. Um, and then on the way back, it was similar, kind of like those in betweenish kind of cities. There was some snow, but
Hmm.
like Canada itself, no snow. Buffalo was fine. Again, like drove through some snow on the highway at some point after Buffalo, and then yeah, pretty clear. So yeah, drives weren't bad.
So it took you out west towards Buffalo instead of straight up through Lake Placid and the Adirondacks. It's probably because of the place you were going in Canada, right? Where'd you go?
Yeah,
Toronto?
like yeah, Toronto is like right next to Buffalo, pretty
Got it.
much. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's exciting. First new country big trip, of the year, and you were able to get in your training. What you could have easily just done nothing. That's the always option one. Super easy. Hey, I'm going on a little trip. I just want to relax. I'm going to a concert. I'm going to see some things, eat some great food, have a good time. What motivates you to get up early and go to the gym? Because you had sent me a text message at like 7 a.m. And I had assumed, for some reason, I thought you weren't going to do the barbell club training. I thought, okay, no day 3 this week, and that maybe you would just go in and do the open workout. Like that's what I thought. And then I'm like, oh crap, I didn't send Miguel his numbers. And then what you hit was pretty close to what we were planning, anyways. What motivates you to do that? Get up at 7 a.m. on your trip and go to another gym in Canada.
Honestly, it was kind of just like limited options.
Mhm.
My family's phone plan like switched over probably like the fall, I want to say, or maybe the summer. Um, but leading into, I got into Canada and I didn't have any service.
Uh,
Um, so usually on our old phone plan, one, I was after years and years, I had like made myself one of the authorized people on it so that I could make changes. On this new phone plan, I'm not authorized. So they have like a global day pass type of deal. Most phone plans do now. Um, but I wasn't authorized to turn it on my phone.
mm-hmm.
And my parents are also away on vacation out of the country. So
Oh,
it's not like they could call
yeah.
on my behalf and turn it on my phone. So
Where'd they
I
go?
didn't. Um, to be honest, this is going to sound bad. I have no clue where they're at. Um, somewhere tropical though.
All right.
Um,
Oh, that makes sense. Somewhere warm.
yeah, but yeah. So the GPS was already running to my destination in Canada, so I could use it out. But in Canada, without Wi-Fi, I was off of nothing. So that was honestly a big reason why the gym was like an easy option because from my room that I was staying in, could use the Wi-Fi to just punch in the gym's address, drive straight there. It kind of like keeps it for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you go the wrong turn or if you start in the place that the GPS thought that you were going to start like in a separate place, you kind of have to find your way back and kind of use roads. I mean, it's regular driving before people had GPS, but
Yeah,
um,
I
yeah.
remember
So
those
I
days.
was pretty limited. So the gym was an easy option of like, okay, it's the morning. I'll go to the gym. I'll grab coffee, breakfast, whatever, and then head back and then figure out what I want to do after that. So that was a big motivator for getting
Okay.
to the gym.
You didn't plan out in advance. All right, I'm there. All right, Friday morning, I'm going to do this. Here's a gym. Or you just kind of winging it.
Kind of winging it, but knowing what my options are. So I had already looked up a few gyms in the area based off where I was staying, what was closest, and what just seemed like kind of like my vibe, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, and then also like drop in costs and stuff like that as well played a factor. But yeah, had good amount of spacing. I was telling Rebecca about this morning, but like I forget because our gym has so much space, and also there's the racquetball going on, there's this and that. So our gym is kind of just open all day. And
Yeah.
open gym is like really open. Whereas this place, open gym was a flat hour. So I had 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Just to train. And I was like, as I talked to one of the coaches there when I got there, I was like, is it just until 9? And they were like, yeah, like if you're still finishing up, like it's not like we'll like kick you out. Like you can finish up what you're doing. But it was like, okay, this is until 9. And then like they essentially close up, or like they might have like private clients
Yeah. They
using
go
the
home.
space. Right. So it was a little bit different, but I knew that those were what my options were. So I didn't actually like pay the drop-in fee until probably 7 that morning, because it was also like when I wake up, I'll know how I'm
Yeah.
feeling if I want to go or not. So I did that both mornings. But yeah, no, it was nice to train there. Again, it's a different facility. You're kind of limited on what you have. Like they don't have like a communal chalk bucket. Um, so my lifting was a little bit different. It's not my
But you don't
own
need chalk
bar.
anyways. That's just a no chalk day.
I mean, if you looked at the videos, I was pulling very early with my arms purely because it's like I really didn't have much grip there. But no, I mean the weights moved well. My body felt okay even after like 6 to 7 hours in the car. So yeah, it was nice to get training
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, that's good. And we just prioritized, or you prioritize what you could get in. It's only an hour. Skip the squats, warm up, make sure things are feeling good. Hit the snatch and clean jerk. The two main big pieces there. Um, and they didn't have any kilo plates. We were talking about that on Friday in Barbell Club because I told everybody, I'm like, look, see, Miguel did the training. Like I always try to tell the group when people speculate on like if training's being done or not
Yeah.
when you guys aren't there. But we were there was a little bit of surprise on no kilos. We thought they would have kilos because it's weird that Canada uses the metric system, right? And so like you would think that they would have kilo plates, and having a set of pound plates would be the opposite of what we have,
Right.
having mostly pound plates and then like a little stash of kilo plates. So I just thought that was interesting.
Well, I thought about it in terms of, because I kind of had the same idea, but I thought about it in terms of the open going on right now. And I was questioned in the open because usually the weights that we're given are done in
Pounds.
pounds, and then they give like the kilo conversion. But like, for us, if we only had kilos, like making 95 pounds, you put the greens on, you got to find like smaller change plates for, it
Yeah.
would make it a little bit more difficult. So I think as a CrossFit gym, it might just be easier to go full pounds.
Yeah, I
Um,
think so. Plus you would break those kilo plates, like those thin
exactly.
green
Yeah.
ones doing a million reps. And I guess everybody still orders from Rogue. I don't know what brand they were, but like all those brands are still like American companies
Yep.
that ship all this stuff out. Um, yeah, cool. Was it weird? Maybe not. Maybe weird's the wrong word, but it did look like the weights were moving differently, and maybe that's because you were pulling a little early because of the lack of chalk. But lifting in pounds again, like and of course it's not your bar; it's just a random bar. But was there anything different about like just like you had those big clunky black bumpers on there versus the nice sleek kilo plates that are calibrated? Anything that you could notice feel wise?
I mean, it felt easier.
Hmm.
I'll say that for sure. I mean, as I was going in pounds, I knew that I would probably overshoot what my weights for that day would have been. Um, but it was moving well. I mean, obviously, there were like clunkiness in terms of like I felt really toesy. That might have
Hmm.
just been like turnover with the bar. Um, again, being used to my bar, which spins a little bit more. Um, but yeah, I think just the spacing of it and just I think also like when you drop in somewhere, you have to like show off, not show off, but show off
Yeah,
where you're like,
especially if you're
I'm
doing open
representing.
gym. Like, look, he knows what he's doing. He didn't have to hit class, you know.
Like I was doing my three positions with just the bar for the snatch, and I was hopping all over the place. And I was like, all right, I just have to put weight on because I'm embarrassing myself right now. And then yeah, it got easier. But I think the spacing that the bumper plates give you as well make the lifting a little bit easier. Everything felt a good amount, a great deal lighter, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting thing. Like 75, had you done that at the gym in kilos, yeah, also different type of day, you know, like you're just waking up, you know, you're not, the day hasn't worn you down yet. But it's funny how 75 in kilos could feel just like a rock, just like this dense weight. And then 75, 165 pounds on bumpers, you know, 45s and 15-pound plates, or 10 and a 5, doesn't look the same. Doesn't feel the same.
Right.
Does it feel lighter?
It feels lighter and it looks like more.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing too, is that our kilo plates, like they are like condensed. So if you don't know, if you're not looking at it in terms of colors, like it doesn't look like that much. Like if
Yeah.
you are a person coming off the street, you don't know what the colors mean, and you see the same weight loaded on kilo plates and then on bumper plates, it's going to look a lot heavier on the bumper plates because it's taking up more space.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean that probably factored in too, where it was like I just felt cooler because I was moving, this weight that looks a little bit heavier than it usually does for me, but it feels easier.
It's like that phenomena of, oh, Miguel, that box is really, really heavy. I couldn't pick it up. You know, can you go over there and pick it up for me? And it's an empty box. So you go over there expecting this weight, and then like you almost fall over because you put too much into lifting it. Is it kind of
Right.
like that?
Yeah. I mean, loading up, I wasn't sure how everything would go, but yeah, as I was going, kind of trying to do the translation of like, okay, this is 135 on there. This is like the blues. Okay, this is feeling really easy. And then
Mhm.
kind of going up from there. Um, yeah, it was surprising, but felt good. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And now, so all right, like just as an example, I think the weight I was going to give you for the clean and jerk was 83 kilos, and the weight you used was 195, which is like closer to 87, 88 kilos. Um, so now like I have to figure out, well, what do we do next week? Do we go up to 90? You know, like,
I was
or
thinking the same
should,
thing.
I'm almost thinking I should meet them in the middle because of what we were just talking about. Because
Exactly.
even
Yeah.
even though you were using quote 88 kilos in pounds and it looked like nothing, when when we get back next week's a whole different week. Maybe I should just, how about 85? You know,
Yeah.
like we were gonna go 83, we went 88, but it does feel different because of the pounds. I think meeting in the middle somewheres makes it more fair, you know.
Yeah.
And then with the snatch, I can't remember what the number I was going to give you on the snatch. Maybe it was like 73. So only 2 kilos off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there's room to like go up, because if, all right, you didn't do 73, but you did 75. Well, if it goes 76 or 77, I think that's more fair for the snatch.
Yeah.
Versus the clean and jerk was a much bigger jump. And if we just go 90, well, it's like, well, is Miguel's body ready for a dense 90? Interesting. All right, it was like we were both thinking about that.
Yeah.
Because when I was watching your video, the first thing that popped in my head, I'm like, what are we gonna do next week?
Yeah.
And without killing Miguel. So yeah, that's cool. And it leads me to wonder too. It does. All right, so it feels easier, and there's definitely a psychological thing to it. But those plates also move differently. You get because they're so spaced out. 225. The bar reacts differently. It makes me wonder if we should have. We may have had this conversation in the past. If we should have periods of the year or like a cycle or like a day, planned, not all the time, where we do train with the pound plates. And it maybe comes back to like, now you guys don't know what that means anymore. Like a 10 kilo plate versus a 25-pound plate. Like you don't know what that means anymore. So now you have to maybe focus a different way versus before when we were only training in pound plates and we put the 10 kilo plate on. You don't know what this means now. It's a whole different thing. So I'm wondering if we should do the inverse from time to time, once in a while, like max out on pounds, just as an example. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it goes around to just overall being prepared for anything, like switching up. Like a lot of us have our own bars now, but switching up and using just a regular bar. Like when we use our bar for squats, keep the same bar, just train on that bar for the day and feel how your body has to move, because you go into meets and you don't know what bar you're going to get in the back room and how you'll have to adjust from that bar to the bar on the competition floor, how that's different, how both are different from your personal bar. And
and I mean, I've done plenty of meets where you showed up and the warm-up room was all in pounds or a mix of pounds and kilos. And you guys have had to do that before at our meets, when we were first starting to do meet stuff. But that used to be normal. And then putting some pound plates and a mix of kilo plates on there, be like, I guess this is the weight. I don't even know. So yeah, I'm thinking that should be post-regional, an interesting element. It could even be like, what do we do the week after a meet, right? Like, all right, maybe we take the Monday off, everybody rest, and then maybe the next 2 days, like we're just kind of playing around with pounds and stuff because it is easier on the body in some way or psychologically, or this will just give you a mental break from the colors. Here's red again. He's putting red on post meet, and I'm not ready for it. I'm wondering if maybe that is some of the better timing for it. And like deloads, we go through the first 6 weeks. Then when we deload, okay, the weights come down, the reps change, but also on one of these days, it's pounds, just a different challenge.
Yeah.
I don't know about full on training cycle with it, every single Friday's pound, I don't know about that. That's not, because then of course, the problem with that is you start to run out of jump options. The great thing with kilos is you can really go, well, we're going up 1 kilo next week. Versus we're going up 5 pounds next week. And that is like the difference between these two weights has now changed so dramatically. I think that would be, let's plan for this. The week after regionals, we'll have a pounds day. I think that'll be interesting. Yeah. Cool. Look at that. Look at the things we're figuring out and deciding here. There will be complaints, probably. But that's a good thing. Anyone who can't deal with that change, that's a hole in your game. Right? That's the second you're like, what? Or blah, blah, you should fix that, And not that there's anything wrong about it. Like, I would never be the type of person to be like, I'm going to bring my own bar to a meet, for me to warm up on. I understand why people do it. Sometimes there really are not great options and you don't want to hurt your joints and stuff, but that was never me, and that will never be me,
Yeah.
for different reasons. Because one, like, I gotta travel with this thing now. Like, I hope they have bars there. I don't want to drive across the state or whatever with this barbell in my car, and it's getting all over the place, and it's messing up my console, and because it rubbed on it, and now I dinged my car, and or I bent the barbell, or my barbell got lost, or other people are using my. I just don't want all that stress and hassle,
Right.
with it. So I would never do it. I don't know. How have you traveled with your bar? Because you do have a traveling case.
No. And I also never would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be ready for whatever's there.
Yeah. You kind of have to be.
Yeah. I think it's a good philosophy. So cool. Glad your trip went well. And look at that. We came away with a good idea for post regional and for different points of the year, just to spice it up, something
Yeah.
different. Sometimes we need different. Because we're doing the same thing every single day. The Open. Did you watch the Open announcement?
I didn't. So
Driving.
I think I had just, so I didn't even have the option because I had just crossed over into Canada. So I couldn't even like play it in the background because I wouldn't have been able to load it. So no, did not watch the announcement there.
When did you find out about the workout, and then what'd you think about it?
Probably when I got settled in my room. I didn't realize until today what it fully was. Like I knew the movements, but I assumed that it was a overhead lunge with the dumbbell.
God, that would have changed everything.
Because during open gym at that gym as well, there were a couple people doing the workout. And I was like, oh, I think they're scaling it. But I was like, if you're scaling it, why are you using the 50-pound, 35-pound dumbbells and then just not doing the overhead lunge?
Who was doing it? I know Laura came in to do it, right?
Yeah, Laura did it this morning. I think it was just Laura.
Okay.
But yeah,
maybe Dan's doing it on Monday. I can't remember when he was going to do it.
But yeah, that's what I saw at the gym. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe they're just doing it a little bit differently. And then today I saw, and I actually looked at the score sheet and saw that it was just lunging. So yeah.
Thankfully, that they could have easily made it triple dumbbell, jump over on the burpee, do the hang cleans, and then you know what? If you got that dog in you after your last one, leave it overhead and start lunging, which would have been a move to do. So I'm glad that they didn't. They just gave you just the lunge just to separate things.
Yeah, I mean, very similar, not in a way, to the workout last year as well.
What was the workout? Everyone keeps saying this. I don't even remember.
It was 21-15-9, but I believe it was 21 all on right hand snatches, like full snatches. Was it? Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Maybe it was 21 on one arm burpees and then 21 on the other.
Like 15 burpees, then 21 on the other arm, 15 burpees, right? Yeah.
Potentially. Yeah, something like that.
CrossFit Open 24.1.
Yes.
Was what it would have been. So that was 21 burpees on arm one, 21 burpees over the bar. Excuse me, 21 snatches on one arm, 21 burpees over the dumbbell, 21 snatches on arm two, 21 burpees over the dumbbell, then 15 for all four movements, then 9. I don't know. I understand that the burpee over the dumbbell is the same, and also the snatching movement. These two would have both been totally different. I don't know if I would have finished this one, to be honest. But like that workout almost looks harder. And I remember everyone blowing out their back. The hang clean to overhead I think was better than the snatch. My initial reaction with the workout is I like how they took out the judging obstacles for people who aren't coaches or all into movement standards or judges and have experience with it. Because if they, every time they say go from the hang, there's always going to be a ton of reps straight from the floor that sneak in there.
Yep.
They say push press, there's going to be push jerks that sneak in there. So I like that. Like for this stage, CrossFit was like, you know what? No big deal. Take the first one from the floor. Just give us that rep. Fine. Instead of stopping and establishing the hang, then you get into all this. Well, how long do you have to establish the hang for? And then all of that nonsense.
Oh, is that how it is? Is it?
Yep. Take the first clean from the floor, then go overhead any way you want to. So if you want to push jerk, cool. There's a standard for that. Make sure you do that correctly. If you want to push press it, cool. If you want to use both, if you want to strict press it, knock yourself out. So I like that approach for at this stage with inexperienced judges and people that aren't going to be looking at the minutia of every little thing. If you have 100 little things you need to be aware of, so many things are going to get lost in translation there. Same thing with the burpee. All right, you have to jump over, but you can kind of land right foot, then left foot. You kind of like single leg hop over it. You can't step over it, but you can like do that type of jump that they're like, no, 2 foot jump, 2 foot landing. That's great, but now there's interpretation. If you land like this, just one before the other, that's technically a no rep. And so I like that they did that stuff.
I will say one thing I do not like is a burpee over a dumbbell.
Yeah.
Because I think there's this like human preservation thing that does not allow people to jump directly over a dumbbell.
It's too small.
They always jump behind the dumbbell.
Yeah.
And which is fine. Like you do the jump and you land on the other side, but it's always so odd. Like obviously a burpee over the bar, like your whole body has to go over, but just over a dumbbell, I always have such trouble watching it because I'm like, does that count? There was a local competition. I think it was the Masters of the Universe years ago that I went and I was watching, and one of the workouts had burpees over the dumbbells, and one of our teams that we had from our gym kept on getting no reps because they were jumping like, I think their feet were probably crossing over like the back of the dumbbell, potentially like going behind and then, landing in the middle on the other side. So they kept on getting no reps. So I think since then, my mind has just been like, I do not like burpees over a dumbbell because now I only see that. Now I only see people jumping kind of behind it.
It is a frustrating movement. And that's why I like if we're ever doing burpees over the dumbbell and there's 2 dumbbells, the standard should be to put them end to end so you have a longer thing to jump over.
Right.
But it's still funny, even when you do that, people start to gravitate towards the back because it's where they put their hands. That's why, like, you've been in my class where I'm like, when you do this, put your hands in front of the dumbbell. That way, when you pop your feet forward, you're next to the dumbbell, and also the way people will jump affects it too.
Yeah.
Like Josh shout out to Josh, even on barbells, burpees over the barbell, he is a throw the furthest foot from the object over first, cross body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll tell you right now, if I tried to do that, I would kill myself. I don't know how people do that without tripping, where you're going to throw the far leg across and kind of karaoke over it. It just doesn't make sense to me, but it makes sense in other people's brains. And every time they do that, that front foot either kicks forward or the back foot donkey kicks out.
Right.
And then like not both of them are going to be over the object. We've worked on this with Josh quite a bit, but it's that always happens. And then you're going to miss the target. So and that was happening yesterday too. We only had one person I was seeing that happen. So we worked on it yesterday. Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever tried jump over a barbell or a dumbbell that way with the farthest foot first?
No.
Cross body.
My jump is different, I would say. I think I probably have a more straighter jump because of the way I land and kind of drop into my next burpee.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, when you get tired, then it becomes a little bit different. But I think I'm
Mhm.
more of a straight side to side kind of jumper.
Yeah. Yeah. I so that with the workout, I thought it was a nice combo of movements. It was a long 15 minutes,
Yeah.
like when I was doing it or when I coached it. At 4 minutes and 50 seconds in, I was shouting out, "All right, we're about 5 minutes in, we're," and people, if I would have said, "Hey everybody, that's the workout. Great job, everyone, but we're done."
Hmm.
Like, and it's because everybody went way too fast, way too hot out of the gate, on at the beginning of the workout, and even with me doing it at a more consistent pace from the beginning, it was still catching up. Like it's really hard to avoid that feeling. The lunge is going to go by really fast
Yeah.
as well. The lunge is no time at all, and it's just enough to keep you moving and moving your whole body nonstop because no one stops on the lunges. I didn't see anyone really stop. You get to the other side, you flip around, you come right back. So unless you're really good about how you're going to recover on those lunges, it's really your only opportunity to recover, unless you just stop the other two. So people were dying. 10 minutes in, people were looked like they had that like begging for mercy look in their eyes. They're like 5 more minutes of this horror.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think most people were in the 12s by about 5 minutes, if not finishing it. That
Yeah.
means, and then a lot of them got to 15s and 18s. So they spent the next 10 minutes on those two rounds right there after blitzing through the beginning of it. Uh, it's funny. When are you going to do it?
I don't know if I'm doing this one.
if you're going to do it,
I honestly, I really looking at it, I'm like, I think I'm okay. I had a question though. Since
yeah.
we're doing these on Saturday, how does it how does it work for like a programming standpoint? Like when you
Mhm.
coached on Saturday, did you look at cap? Because I guess they probably write it in for Friday after it's
Yeah.
announced. Or did you like do you watch videos and then try to kind of coach people about like strategy and stuff?
For wait, oh, you mean for the Friday workout or for the open workout?
For the open workout.
Oh,
Um, so going into it, like it gets announced on Thursday. Are
yep.
you then like creating a lesson plan, or are you seeing kind of like what Cap kind of suggests? And
Oh, well, I already have like as soon as I saw it, I have like a plan just flashes in my head.
right,
Like I already know, like I know for me that the night before and the morning of, I'm looking at who is signed up and how many, and I'm creating heats. And I'm putting together people together with their friends, similar abilities. If I know these two people are going RX, that means they'll maybe need just one dumbbell. So I'm already like organizing all of the bodies in my head. And then since we have these two lines that are 15 feet apart for the lunging, I already know in the warm up, partner number one's on the right side, partner number two on the left side, face each other. That's how I'm going to organize our bodies for this. And then I already know that in a practice round, like for this workout, I'm going to have the hallway side, heat two, take their dumbbell and step into the rig. And then heat one, give me 2 burpees, 2 dumbbell overheads, and then lunge down, walk back, just to feel the lay of the land. And then we're going to switch and go back and forth. And so I already had all that in my head. And then I looked at the lesson plan to say, like, well, what exercises are they doing in the warm up? And like, oh, big surprise, jumping jacks, Samson lunges, all these things.
right,
Even though I did change some of those things, like I added in some air squats just to like, let's get the legs going and let's pause at the bottom. I added in a lot more stretchy things like that. Samson lunges. Okay, let's do some Samson lunges because one, now we're lunging, but two, we can also stretch out the overhead and the wrists and
right.
all that stuff. So, and instead of going 2 rounds of 20 seconds, I just did each exercise once for 30 seconds. That way I could fit in a couple more exercises and we would stay on each exercise longer to get the heart rate up. Because sometimes you do something for 20 seconds, that wasn't a whole lot. Add in another 10 seconds. Like think about like a hollow rock. 20 seconds versus 30 seconds. That last 30 seconds, you're like, I'm ready to stop now. And then everybody get a light dumbbell, bring it. Now we have spots. Everybody knows where their spot's going to be. And we also know where they're going to do the workout. Yeah, so like after the warm up, everybody stayed in those lanes that they're already in. Yeah, and I didn't have to have any special markers. It's just like, oh, this is Maria and Nyla's lane right here, right the front of the strip. That's where they did the warm up. That's where we did the dumbbell skills practice. And that's exactly where they did their heats. So I already knew, like that's just like, bam, how am I going to run this? And I think I got done at 10:08 or 10:07, something like that, which I was on track to finish on time. People in their bathroom breaks. That's like,
yeah. I mean, like in between heats too. Yeah.
No, it was heat one. Heat one tanked us. Heat one, everyone was taking their morning poop or something. It took way too long. I'm like, hey, 5 minutes. Like, so I was by 22 after or whatever. I was done with the warm up. Everybody had clipboards. We had done the dumbbell skills practice, all that stuff. The briefing, I spent like no time at all. Like questions, because what I did that I haven't done in the past is I was like, we will go over standards later as we practice the movements. There's no reason for me to go over all of it now at the board and waste all this time and then have to do it again when we practice it later and then have to answer the questions. Well, then what was that extra 5 minutes at the beginning class? Them just standing around not paying attention. You know, that's what it was. And then forgetting. So, yeah, I think that worked out well to not do the movement standards before. Just a really quick brief, get them moving right away. Everybody's half asleep regardless, you know. And also I am assuming that the ones who are really into it have like watched the videos here or there or things like that. I did send out an email that hopefully some people read. Did you get that email? Right? Email?
Yeah.
Okay. The newsletter. Did you get the newsletter?
Yeah.
They go to my spam, which now has me thinking, how many other spams do they go to? I'm like, they've never done that before. I don't know if it's something new with email.
Well, do you like? See, I'm wondering, like, do you open them and like engage with them? I guess you could say. Like, I kind of keep the newsletter in my inbox for a lot longer. Like, I read it and I'll like, okay, yeah, then that's interesting.
Yeah, I'll save them to my Albany CrossFit folder because sometimes there'll be new stuff in there that I'll copy and paste and post to social media that hasn't been posted yet. Yeah. So yeah, I had all that, and then looking at the class cap plan, like looking at that workout. Of course, the goal or goal number one is to complete the round of 15s or get there five rounds. So like just looking at it, like in that style of a workout, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, I already know that. And I already know how many reps that is of each thing. So I can relay that to people because we do those all the time.
Right.
And then using the one thing I didn't do was use the lunge course in my warm up. I was going to do things like, okay, do Frankenstein walks across it and back, just so like we get that practice doing it. But since we were face to face, and as you saw, the whole room wasn't taped. If the whole room was taped, I would have done that. But since we had a smaller course and we had 12 people there, I was like, well, there's not really a space to kick in front of your partner, so let's not do that. So yeah,
cool. So I guess you said that like you would go over standards and stuff later. So how do you go about, I guess, like integrity and movement standards? And like you said, you already knew kind of what the stimulus was, but do you use like, here's what I saw in the video, here's where these type of people are getting, like advanced or elite athletes, RX athletes, you know, are you using that as you're going through and kind of giving them tips before the first heat goes, or kind of just letting them go?
Kind of a combo. I made sure we were clear on the score sheet. So after the warm up, before we broke for a bathroom break, I brought everyone up to the board, handed out the score sheets. Hey, look at it with your partner, and answered a question there on like what the reps on the far right hand mean. Like, hey, that's the reps on the empty box. That's the total for where you're at. Like that's not how many they should be doing. The number of reps they should be doing is on the left-hand side. Just make
Right.
sure everyone understands what they're doing there, and then giving a tip on like, hey, keep tallies. When Miguel's on a set of 15, mark every 5. That way you know what number he's at, because you should be counting. He may not be counting. And that's happened during open workouts before, I'm sure everywhere, our gym included, where no one knows what number they're on. And like you see someone ask their judge, where am I at? And they're like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to be counting. Like that's tough,
Mm-hmm.
So little tips like that. For the movements, when we practiced the lunge, I just said, be right up against the lunge. And then Nyla ended up being like this far short of crossing the far line. And so I just made sure that everybody knew, hey, if you're this far away, you can't walk across it. You owe another lunge, even though the majority of it's going to be past the line. So making sure everybody knows that, and making sure that they know just the standard. So just talk about each one when we're on the movement. Like, this is what you can do. This is what you can't do. Not really so much as like, hey, this is what Rich Froning did on his transitions from side to side. Because I just making sure they understand you don't have to switch sides, because that was a new standard on this one, which I think that was also a good change. On like, hey, if you want to use your right arm for the whole workout, go for it. It's not really an advantage, so to say. But now there's no thing where if we're on a set of 6 and you get no rep on rep number 4, you technically have to go back to that arm.
Right.
That's got to be a not enforced thing. In the local level at the gym. If you're at the games and stuff, but see, they even mess it up at the games a lot, and higher level events. So just getting rid of that, where I don't have to be like, no, Miguel, you got to go back to the right arm. That's 5, now 6.
Yeah.
Don't like people aren't ready for that. Especially if you think about it, you have a group full of like people who they're not immersed in competitive CrossFit, and then you got Bob, or whatever, who they're 3 months in, and he's judging Miguel, and he's like, he's doing a great job, and he's not seeing any of this.
Right.
Think about from a coaching perspective, how hard seeing and correcting is, and how much can be missed. Now you want your regular members to be at least seeing and making the correction by telling their friend no, and penalizing them. That's why I think these changes were good, on not having to move the arm. But so yeah, back to your question. Burpees. Okay, here's what the hop looks like. Just practice hopping over it. You don't have to stand tall when you do the burpees. Now practice and do the burpees. And then on the dumbbell stuff, practicing all the different options for overhead. And then the way I taught the hang clean was the kettlebell style. Just like swing it between your legs, pull it up, and then go up overhead. Right. I didn't even demo like catching it into like a power clean. Like I just demoed like a muscle and then push it up.
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw too, I mean, it was kind of what people call like a CrossFit-y clean and jerk as well.
Yeah.
So it's like you can kind of catch it at the bottom and use that to kind of go overhead as well. So yeah.
And so essentially what I was doing was, instead of like if this was like a regular class being like, okay, when I say go, catch it here, I was just more of like, let me show them how to do it in the workout. And then now we practice that, because we've done 1 million hang clean and overheads throughout the year with dumbbells anyways. So if they eventually start catching it in a little squat, not a penalty, just make sure what they know the full rep is. And then I'll show them what I feel is the most efficient way to do it, or at least how I would do it. I tell you right now, I would not power clean any 1 rep at any ability. I would just bring it down there, pull it up, and then go overhead.
Yeah.
Because just like on the dumbbell snatches, it always feels way more natural to me to just pull it straight overhead, like instead of power snatching it, which is way harder probably. That's why it feels more natural. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
I did the workout, my first open since 2019, and it's super cool to have the foundations division be a thing. Back in 2019, there wasn't no foundations division. I think 2023 was potentially the first year. Could be maybe 22, but I want to say 23. for some reason. And what the foundations division is, it's for anyone that's new to CrossFit. So if you do have like this a new member, Joe, he's been a member for a week, and he's like, yeah, I'll do the open. I'm immersing in CrossFit stuff. And he's like, what should I do? And you have two options, scaled and RX. And sometimes the scaled division still requires pull-ups or a 35-pound dumbbell or other stuff. So like, what's that guy supposed to do? You know? So he can do the foundations division, or it's for people who aren't sure if they can even do the workouts physically, like myself. So it's like I have a lot of limitations still, and jumping over the dumbbell or doing walking lunges is a really touch and go type of deal, or not even possible. Friday evening, I was chatting with Josh, and I'm like, we had just taped down the floor. Shy taped down the floor, not we. Me and Josh watched. And I was like, let me try a lunge. Max effort lunge. I got down there, and I was like, I don't know if we can get up. But in the foundations division, you can use PVC pipe for an assisted, supported one. You've seen it before, because if you remember that video of Art Mayer that I posted of him using like ski poles, and that's what I did. And it was a lot more upper body than lower body, because you get down there and you're like, let me pull myself back up. And I also only used one leg. My left leg was the forward leg the entire time, because you didn't have to switch your legs, which is also a standard for everybody. So like, you don't have to switch your arm and you don't have to switch your legs. That's, everybody can do that. But for me specifically, I needed to do that. On the burpee, stepping up out of the burpee, it was all left leg forward. So my left leg was doing a lot of the work just to get me moving. And I didn't even bother to use my left arm. So I was like, I could move this dumbbell through it, but why? Like, let me just use my right arm. And my goal is to go unbroken on the dumbbell hang clean and overheads and get to the round of 15. And I was able to get to the round of 15 and get 10 extra reps. And it was only the last 5 reps that I did like the full jump down, jump up burpees. One, I would have gassed out really, really fast had I done that at all. And 2, my feet weren't ready to do that until like the last 30 seconds of the workout. Because my feet don't bend. Actually, it's more my toes. They don't bend like this. Some of them are like locked in. So I can't support myself on the ball of my foot like that. Or if I do, it hurts really, really bad. So the foundations division has me motivated, because like, okay, good. My body's broken and doesn't cooperate with all these things, but I can still participate, because it's painfully obvious. Like, if you're doing that, you're not trying to compete, right? I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I just want to be able to do the workout and be a part of the group. And last year I would not have been able to do the foundations division. So like, it kind of shows me like the progress that I'm making on some of these things. I'm like, okay, looking back at last year's workouts, could not have done that, but now I can. So it's like, awesome. Let's see what next week entails. So I think the foundations division is cool. I think that CrossFit should pump it up a little bit more and be like, hey, if you've never ever done CrossFit, you could literally come in day one, do the open workout, and it's just scaling, right? That's the beautiful part about CrossFit. You're just modifying it. And I do like how the foundations division it's pretty open-ended. They gave 3 options for burpees. They're like, you could do a regular burpee, you could do a burpee to a chair, like if you have to just go down, or to a box, and do, we used to call it the pregnant burpee, because that way your belly doesn't touch the floor. Or you could do an up down. An up down's legal. And you don't have to jump over the dumbbell. For the lunging, they showed someone using a chair. You could hold on to the rig. You can hold on to a PVC pipe. You could do them in place for 10 reps. And I just decided I wanted to do the course. So I'm like, let's ski our way across the room. And then for the dumbbell, they gave suggested weights at 20 and 10 pounds. But they're like, this is just a suggestion. Go down or up as you need to. I just kept it at 20 because like, all right, why would I like go up? And it was enough, especially since I was using one arm. I woke up in the middle of the night last night. You ever get like pre-soreness from a workout, but then it goes away? Like you ever get pre-soreness in the middle of the night after a workout, then it goes away, and then it'll be back in tenfold like tomorrow or something. You ever get something like that?
Yeah. Almost
It's
like a yeah.
like a warning shot. It's like, hey, this
Hmm.
is what's coming. It's the weirdest thing. I woke up at 2 o'clock last night, and my left leg and right arm were like both super sore, like they had done a lot of work. And that was the first time I felt that. And then when I woke up later on at like 7, it was gone. And I'm like, maybe I'm in the clear. But, or that was like, this is what you have to look forward to on Monday. You
Yeah.
know, it was the weirdest thing. Or it is a weird thing. So yeah, foundations. I think it's a great addition, especially if I think it really it keeps the open. The open should be inclusive,
Yeah.
and adding there never used to be in the beginning. There wasn't a scaled division. I remember when they first announced the scale division, everyone was like, "Yes, finally! Now I don't have to get stuck at the rings for 3, 2, 1, go and look at them and try to get a muscle up for 10 minutes."
Yeah.
Because that could also open the door for injury. Now, like, all right, it can be more inclusive. I don't think you need to be more restrictive. And I think the changes they've made with scaled division many years ago, now the foundations, and then if they keep this trend going on judging standards that just make it easier for everybody, and then make it accessible for affiliates too, with like we just had 2 lines. That's all we needed. It was so perfect. I think the more accessible the open, the better.
Yeah. Nice.
So
Now, during the workout,
yeah.
as you're going through, everyone has their judge. Are you kind of like walking around as like head judge? Because like head judge versus like head coach of the class, like movement standards for the open versus how you want everyone to move, and then like, are you stopping people? Like,
Um, I will say this thought popped up in my head. We have a very clean rep gym. Like, that doesn't mean there weren't any no reps floating around out there that I would have given. But looking at everyone's movement, it's just like we move very well. And I don't know if that's because we harp on it every single class and the way we teach, and also going over the standards and having people practice them right before the workout. But I was very impressed yesterday with how everyone was moving. I was like, man, this is good. It wasn't towards like the end, like that last 5 minutes where you could see little wheels starting to come apart, which I think it's normal, like for a workout like that. Um, there was one instance of the foot going behind on the crossover jump, and I told that judge, "Hey, if you don't like it, say something," you know. And I think we threw out a no rep there, so not a big deal. And it was always like a once in a while type of thing.
yeah.
And really, that's not something that I think, like you said, it's really hard to see. I don't think that's something that anyone else would notice,
Mhm.
unless you were specifically looking for it. And it's not like I told the class to look for it either, because it's such an obscure type of thing. It's one of those situations like, why put it in anyone's head, you know? And then now they start jumping
Yeah.
that way. The lockouts, great lockouts. Didn't see anyone hitting a jerk or anything and then lowering the dumbbell before their legs dropped, because I'd also told everyone, you're probably just going to want to push press. I would
Right.
just push press. I push pressed, and people weren't really doing the jerk unless they were comfortable with the jerk. Like Chris was doing jerks, but he was standing up and then lowering it down. But most everyone else push press all the way because it's easier, right? It might be harder from a muscular standpoint, but it feels easier and faster just to get it
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
So again, I think it just goes down to like what I told people to do. I'm like, so like I didn't really see people, you know, like having issues with push jerks the way I think we would have if everybody was push jerking.
Yeah.
Because I said, oh, this is the way to do it, or that was the standard. You have to do it. Now we start seeing all those things go down. So, but yeah, I was kind of going around, and there were a couple people where I would yell, "Hey, stand up all the way on your lunge," you know, towards the end of the workout, or do this, do that. But no big issues. But I am head judging it around. I am walking around and
Mhm.
making sure. and double checking clipboards too. Like for some of the newer people looking over, like, where's he at? When all right,
Yeah.
you're keeping tallies, good, okay. And then especially for heat 2, making going over and being like, hey, how are you feeling good, or are you over here with your eyes rolling in the back of your head, and then
Right.
your person is doing work, and you don't know where we're at,
Yeah.
just making sure they're conscious.
Nice.
Yeah. I am looking forward to doing it with class next week because Josh will be back and coaching. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I still got to see what it's going to be next week, and then I'll make a decision.
Yeah. I mean, now thoughts on like doing like a scaled.
I mean, I don't think that'll be it. It's really just like I've actually been moving fairly well recently.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the lungs of it all.
Yeah. Because this seems like a workout in kind of in your wheelhouse a little bit, a workout that you would excel at. Mike got into the 21s. I think he was almost done with the clean and jerks on the 21s. And he hasn't done any kind of training like consistently in a while, other than like, the machines and stuff. And he told me his breakfast yesterday morning was just 2 ibuprofen. So not good. But
Yeah.
but he was flying through the burpees enough that like people were like looking over during their burpees, being like, why is he doing this to all of us right now? Because he was just flying through the burpees. And it was kind of the dumbbell, I think, that slowed him down, like on the outside looking in.
Yeah, we had that partner workout a few weeks ago, actually. That was like bike that Schaff created, the biking, and then dumbbell snatches, and then the burpees over, and sit-ups, I think, were in it as well. Yep. But yeah, his burpees have surpassed mine. But I do think the dumbbell, I think he can probably go longer at the same weight, but I think mine are more like, it feels better for me, I think.
Yeah. He has an unmatched pain tolerance.
Yeah.
Like if you were to take his pain tolerance and put it into like one of these games athletes, I don't know. I don't know if you could beat him at that point.
Yeah.
And he has that pain tolerance that goes back to the old the standard workout, Noah Olson versus Matt Frazier. Noah's in the lead. He starts doing singles. Matt gets off and just starts ripping out reps because, like, yeah, I'm going to win right now. He has the pain tolerance part of that thing, whatever that is.
Right.
Maybe even better. I don't know. I don't know if that's like a metric people measure pain tolerance. Like you have like that grit and that push and that grind, but at some point it starts to hurt too much. I don't see Mike. I don't know if I've ever seen him stop because it hurts, and he's gone to some pretty dark places on burpees or the bike. We, maybe it was this summer or the summer before it, there was like a 30-second max bike thing, and he did something insane during it, and he was dead for the rest of the workout. It was like a 15-minute workout. Like, so he was cooked after that. He couldn't recover, but in that moment he was untouchable,
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I do want to do it with class. It's been a while since I've done an open workout with class, so yeah, it'll be cool. Potentially, we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, if you decide to get it in, there'll be time tomorrow. Maybe it's a skip the back squat kind of a day and do the open workout.
Well, we have stuff coming up.
Yeah, we do. We do. That was Chris in Barbell Club tried to make that deal to get out of squats.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let him. And then he ended up judging Chris in the open on Saturday, or Schaff ended up judging Chris in the open. And then after Schaff was done with that, Schaff was going to make up the back squats from Friday because he came to barbell club late. So we were just lumping it into day 4. And I was like, you know what? You could skip the back squats if you want, since you did the open workout. And Chris is like, that's what I wanted to do, because he wanted to do that last night, I'm like, well, I felt differently about it last night.
Yeah.
Plus, we were in barbell club. It's different when barbell club's going. You
Right.
can't just leave barbell club, abandon barbell club, and go do the open workout and then return. That's not going to work out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward now. All right, so I think next week will be the repeat workout. I don't know about a repeat for the final. And then the thing is, unless they want to play mind games, because the thing is, if the repeat isn't next week, that means everybody knows the repeat is on week 3. And then you could just go through like, if you're Dave Castro or CrossFit, you can just look and watch everyone go insane trying to figure out which workout it is going to be. But since I think they've said that it will be a repeat from 2020 and beyond to 2024, that means we do have a short list of what it could be, which I don't like that. I think we should go further back. I think most of our picks were from further back. So maybe I think it would be cool if they changed that. I don't know. I don't really remember a whole lot of one, because I didn't do them. So that's one reason. But a lot of the open workouts from that time period weren't really that memorable. I don't know.
Well, again, I think it goes back to like all of the final workouts are essentially Fran.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I could see them just redoing the third workout and just saying, or even doing like, it's a repeat with a twist, because I feel like that's just what they do too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, all these workouts are all the same anyway. But yeah, I would want something like Diane, maybe, if it were a repeat next week. But I don't think they've done that since.
Well, when was that Diane handstand walk phase?
I want to say that was 18.
18 had a lot of good workouts.
Yeah.
A lot of good workouts. Yeah, and plus we do have that thing where some movements have always come up in the open, and it's kind of like the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak, unbeaten. It's like you want to see the streak continue. Yeah. Like I don't know. We don't have that many things to hold on to anymore. So it's like, yeah, give us double unders every open, or if it's always double unders and toes to bar. Like, we know the next 2 weeks will definitely have the pull-up bar. Like, they almost have to, right?
Yeah.
You're unless you're going to have all those things appear in one workout, then I guess next week you could do deadlifts and handstand walking type stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I do feel like second week is like, let's put in multiple elements. Like week 2 last year was the rowing double under deadlift.
Yeah.
So I could see that again. Or no, because they could still. But I mean, there was that year where it was just, I think it was ascending deadlifts and burpees over the bar.
That one I don't remember.
It was like 1 deadlift, 1 burpee, 2 deadlifts, 2 burpees, 3, and like going up, I want to say.
Well, and I feel like, all right, I told this to someone on Saturday. I was like, hey, think about it in a positive way. Burpees are done now. Like, they're not going to bring burpees back, right? Right? And then,
yeah, you never know.
But then I was like, it would be cool if we did burpees every week, because that's still constantly varied. It's still CrossFit, and it would just be a, just like a deal with it kind of a thing. Like, all right, there's a different burpee variation every week. Next week's burpees to a target, then the last week's burpee muscle up. I don't know. You could do tons of different things. Well, here, and going through all the workouts from year to year, if they're not going to repeat a movement like a burpee, because we only have 3 weeks, you can start to figure out what workouts it's not going to be either.
Yeah.
The first workout for 2020 was 10 rounds, 8 ground overheads, and 10 bar facing burpees. That was last week,
Yeah.
essentially. They're not going to do that. The second workout, 20-minute AMRAP. Oh, I hope not, because like I don't want it to be 20 minutes. Plus, we just did 15 minutes. 20-minute AMRAP, 4 dumbbell thrusters, 6 toes to bar, 24 double unders. I don't know. Do you see that being? Actually, that is a repeat. That could be one.
Yeah.
You could do that because there's some of the movements we haven't done yet, and I wouldn't want to see that. Then we have that deadlift ladder you were talking about. 21 deadlifts, 21 handstand push-up, 15, 15, 9, 9. And then you go 21 deadlifts at 205. You increase the weight, 50-foot handstand walk, 15 deadlifts, 50-foot handstand walk, 9 deadlifts, 50-foot handstand walk.
It's 305, right?
Yep, I'm on the women's.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, wait, yep. So I could see that being the workout. All right, so those are 2 workouts that could pop up next week. No problem.
So this weekend I also did my first kipping handstand push-ups in definitely over a year.
Uh-huh.
I remember last year, kind of when we started doing this again, that I was like restructuring my like inverted handstand type of stuff. So the workout that we did on Saturday was a partner workout. It was 3 rounds, 50 kettlebell sumo deadlift high pulls, which I think was my first time doing that as well.
Mm-hmm.
40,
it was a partner workout, right?
Yeah. Yep. 40 toes to bar and 30 handstand push-ups. So you split the work, however. Yep. But I ended up within the workout doing kipping handstand push-ups because if I've like fully done them, they've been strict. So yeah, that was interesting. They had wall space, but they also like had these columns in the middle of the room. So I thought for like challenge and like kind of keeping my feet straighter, I would do the column because they were pretty narrow.
Yeah.
But I ended up doing some kipping off of there pretty consistently. So that was new, but felt good.
We've worked on handstands in Barbell Club sporadically. Like at times it becomes a character in the programming, and also all the overhead stuff. Did they feel stronger now? Like, and also especially after all the shoot through upper body type of work. Like, do you think your handstand push, did they feel stronger, more stable?
Yeah, they felt completely fine. I really just switched because I think I had already done like, including warm-ups and everything, I'd probably already done like 20 strict.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'm kind of not doing kipping because I'm not comfortable kipping.
Yeah.
So let me try it and like at least get a rhythm. The only thing was like, I couldn't remember if my feet should be touching the wall the entire time. And I was wearing the rads, so they were like kind of like not something that can like glide against the wall very well.
Bounce off the wall.
Yeah. So I kind of like figured out how to do them again and like how to get back to the wall and all that. And yeah, they were completely fine. Lockouts were fine every time and was able to do them consistently.
So that's a workout from Cap. We were going to do that workout on Friday, and then I changed it to a solo workout just because I knew classes were going to be dead.
Right.
And I had one person in each of my classes because when it was time for the 5:15, I had Nyla and Amir and Joe were doing the open workout. So it's like,
oh, okay, yeah.
So like they're in the same room, but I'm like, I just already knew that was going to happen. I'm like, I'm not gonna like, why have a partner workout if no one's coming to class? Everyone's waiting for Saturday. So I changed it to a 20-minute AMRAP of 5 handstand push-ups, 10 toes to bar, and then 15 kettlebell swings, Russian swings. So we can do a heavier weight. And also, like, almost selfishly, I was like, well, I know it's going to be small classes, and I want to teach these more. You know, like when I know, all right, just Nyla's coming in, I'm like, all right, changed this workout and like, now we're going to really focus on Nyla's handstand push up here or this or that, you know? So, and we did a lot of great skills work. It was nice to be able to go slow with her and be like, hey, let's do this, let's do that, and then modify the workout so she's not too sore for the next day.
Right.
And we can talk about things. So that was fun too. So yeah, we ended up changing that workout, and we'll probably do the same next week.
Nice.
So what was? Sometimes you can notice, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't even pay attention to it at all because you're just taking class. But what was the experience like from a coaching perspective? So, you know, we talk about things, we practice things. We're not throwing anyone under the bus or anything like that. But it's like, did you notice tell, show, do, check? Did you feel like the whiteboard brief was efficient and all like the things that we generally talk about? What was it like?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Obviously, I don't know like how, if that's like at this gym, we all do it this way. But we kind of did like a general warm the body up. Then, okay, here is the workout afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show you all the movements of the workout. Kind of like the room layout was a little bit different too. So he could kind of do that, explaining each piece and kind of showing you what each movement looks like during the brief. And then it was like, let's break down each movement. We didn't actually like warm up the kettlebell sumo deadlift high pull. I think it was just like the quick demo of what it looks like. While we were breaking down, I think the handstand push-ups, people were already like kind of grabbing kettlebells and kind of testing it out on their own. And
Mm-hmm.
then he kind of came around to each individual person and was kind of like, show me before we did the actual workout. So based on how people were moving, I also couldn't tell if it was like, this is a Saturday thing. Because I think like Saturdays, he was like, Saturdays, we always do partner workouts. So I don't know if it's like a Saturday, this is how we do things. Maybe you and your partner kind of like watch each other. Then I come around and so we don't break down each individual workout piece. But yeah, different way of like progressing the toes to bar, like no kip swings. They kind of did it an interesting way, which might be better. Instead of making it like kip swings, it was really just like hang on the bar, push yourself away from the bar to like get that initiation instead of. So like I saw a lot less people swinging with their feet because yeah, it was really like don't do anything with your feet, just push, kind of like activate the lats. So there was that. There were negatives.
It's funny you say that because with Nyla, we were working on hollowing out on the bar.
Yeah.
And having the kip be hollow to Superman instead of the feet going around or an overly dramatic arm movement. It's like instead I just want her to work on having just enough arm movement and to press down to get tension in the hollow, but not like loose swing like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think it's probably a better way.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, I'll probably steal that. And then handstand push-ups, we started with the box and kind of pike. And then it kind of it did that interesting thing where kind of like your what ifs when they happen of like, okay, this is my first option for scaling for the handstand push-ups. What if somebody can't do that first scaling option? Now, as the rest of us progress, or maybe we stay in the same spot, I have to almost bring it back to, okay, we can add this so that you're able to do it. And yeah, there were some moments where there were definitely like, okay, that group is fine. I'm not even going to come over to you guys. And then I'm just going to work over here. But I think room layout as well of their gym was kind of like people were kind of doing their own thing. I think they were fine.
Yeah.
But very much focused on certain people while breaking things down. And there were moments where it was like, did you say how many reps we're doing? And then like some people would just get started, so then other people would get started, and then he'd be like, all right guys, now we're going to do this many of this. And it's like, oh, I think people have already done like the final step of
Well,
this.
if you remember, from what we talked about in our last coaching development meeting, the presenter, the instructor, and then the coach, that situation sounds like that instructor type of thing of like, yeah, do 10 reps, and then everyone's moving at their own pace instead of calling it or being like, we're gonna do these amount of reps and I'm gonna lead you through it, and this is what we're focusing on right now. You have some people completing the full movement and you're over there like, I don't even know how many we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
So there were moments, again, I'd have to like be there longer to kind of give it a full on, like, because some of it is like gym culture of like on Saturdays we're able to do this. We might have a little bit more time, so this workout might turn into this. Something I didn't like, I will say, um, it was 3 rounds. I had finished with my partner a good amount in probably one of the first groups done. And then there were other groups that I was like, I feel like I've kind of been watching, and you guys were either at the same kind of pace as us or right behind us. How are you guys starting on the kettlebell high pulls again? And then kind of like it kept on going. And then the coach was like, I guess kind of asking them or like checking in with them. And then there was kind of an announcement of like, oh, a couple groups are going until 20 minutes. So they're just adding up rounds until like at the 20-minute time. And I was like, oh, I hate that. I'm not sure if that's like,
Yeah.
because
That's
what if you had a plan for like after everyone's done, hopefully we're done by like 18, 16 minutes, then we'll go on to this thing after. And they're like, nope, a group is just, they've been done for 5 minutes, but they're just continuing on.
but the work. Oh, so the workout was 3 rounds, and that
Right.
was
But they
brief.
kind of just decided to make it an AMRAP.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Okay. So now, one, it's cool to experience this because then, like you said before, oh, I'm gonna steal that. Like it's like you can learn and pick little things up, but then it's also good to see like kind of like ooh, that's not how I would do it, or I don't know if that's the most efficient way to do it. Like maybe it would have been better if you brought us all up into the group and led us through some reps and we're all on the same page. Like a lot of what you're telling me sounds like just lacks or lapses in communication, you
Right.
know, or like, but then again, it could be gym culture thing. Like, what are people allowed to get away with? It's like, no, when the workout's done, you're done. Or you could just change the workout and just keep going for 20 minutes
Yep.
as, because then it's like, okay, what if everybody else is done? Does the coach still have to let you go for 20 minutes because you've
That's kind
changed
of
it?
like what it turned into,
Really?
because it's like I was also looking of like skill level of some of these people. I would say one, I put on a really good show for our gym. So just
Yeah.
in case they're looking at our gym, they're like, wow, he really knows what he's doing. Um, but yeah, I was like kind of looking at the skill level of some of these guys, and I was like, okay, I see like the grips on, I see like the handstand push-ups are decent here, and RX weight. I don't know if that was it, where it was just like maybe seeing yourself as a more advanced athlete and kind of like, well, I'll be done before everybody else. I should just keep on going. But then it's a different stimulus, and I feel like there's another way you can make it harder then if that's what the whole thing is. Yeah, but it did become a point where it was like, all right, everyone's kind of cleaning up and you guys are still, you still got like another minute left and we're kind of just watching. And
Yeah. There's, yeah, I don't know. Without knowing all the details, it's hard to speculate. Like, was it a lapse of communication just that day? Is it part of the gym culture? Are these two pain in the asses essentially that do stuff like this all the time? Because they only view workouts of a certain length to be valuable, and that's how
Right.
you get fitter. Versus, so like if we're doing 3 rounds that's supposed to take 6 minutes on that day, they're like the ones that complain about the programming and they've got to do more and blah blah. And if that's the case, I guarantee you that their nutrition is shit, because most of those people aren't focusing on the real things that they should be. I don't know why I'm getting offended for this gym already. But it's like, yeah, I don't like it either. It's it almost seems a little disrespectful to everybody else in class.
Yeah, but it again, like it's like I'd have to see it more, because like
Yeah.
I think too of like, I mean, there's like me and Mike in class where it's if you just started and you go to a class and I'm coaching and Mike is also in class, like it's a little different. Or like Sunday,
Like, why is he being so mean to him?
right? Like there was a Sunday where when Tanzira was doing CrossFit and she was in class, and at a certain point in class, I was like, oh, I should probably explain what's going on. And I was like, oh, guys, the reason I'm talking to her like this is because we have a longer rapport of us in barbell clubs. So it's different. So I don't know if it was one of those things too, where it's like, oh, all these guys are just like guys. And they kind of, you turn around and you're like, why are you guys always doing something different? Like if it was one of those scenarios, but yeah,
that's why
definitely.
when anyone new joins the barbell club, I always tell them, I'm like, hey, they are like a bunch of fighting siblings sometimes. Like they've been around each other for 7 years or however many long it's been. You're going to hear people complaining and fighting and making accusations and other stuff. None of it's meant to hurt anyone. They're not being mean on purpose,
Yeah.
And you don't have to participate. Although I do think it's the funniest, though, when the new person starts to get in on it. It is the funniest.
Yeah, definitely some cool things that I saw there, though. The coach was definitely, like, without a doubt, very knowledgeable as well. I could see from like the way they were breaking down certain movements and adjusting for people that, very knowledgeable in what they were doing. But yeah, there were just a couple things. And I think also because we've been breaking down so much coaching stuff that I had like extra eyes on certain things as well.
Yeah. And you know what? Like you said, it's Saturday. Maybe it's more of a laid back day like that.
Right.
We don't know if that's always part of the culture. But like also there's like that thing of like, of course you did this today. Like I got Miguel here from Albany CrossFit. He's dropping in, and you guys are why are you guys acting crazy on the day we have guests? Like that always happens too. Like someone new's in class, and you're like, you picked today to be crazy. Why?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? That'll no doubt happen in the weeks and months leading up to the CrossFit Games when we have all kinds of people, and people are like, yeah, today's the day everyone was 7 minutes late to class. I don't know.
Yeah.
They all decided that they were going to be late today. Like that, it just happens. It's like it's a magical phenomena.
But yeah. Overall, great time. Good gym. I would definitely go back to that gym specifically if I was back in Toronto. So yeah, good time out there.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's good feedback for the gym. Like you'd go back. Like it was still a great workout. Of course, like we're just like we like nerding out about this coaching stuff, and it's like, I know people I've talked to or heard talk about, like they'll go to a gym and they'll like turn it off and just be a participant, whatnot. I'll do that to an extent, but also there's just sometimes like you can't help but not notice it. It's like not noticing that the bathroom doesn't have paper towels. I'm gonna see that every time. I can't help but notice that he didn't give any scaling options. It's just I can't, so it's good to learn from the experience, and take things too. You're like, yeah, I like that cue for the toes to bar. I'm going to use that and test it out. That's cool stuff. And, not every gym is created equally. We actually just had a former member. I'll tell you when we're not recording. A former member who moved to an area across the country, tried, I think, 4 or 5 CrossFit gyms, and is now doing Orange Theory because none of these gyms were working out. They either didn't feel safe at the gym. It's not the level of coaching that they're used to. No one's focusing on form and technique. They just, it's almost like we kind of ruined them a little bit for CrossFit out there, which isn't the intent. Like you would hope that everyone is doing the things that we're doing, or at least trying to, and putting in a little bit of effort on it. But they're doing Orange Theory now because they tried 4 or 5 gyms and you can't find one where like it's either the culture isn't good, or you don't feel safe, or this coach is mean, or they don't focus on technique at all. Like that's rough. The amount of effort and work to go to 5 different gyms, like you sign up for a membership. I hate it here. Cancel the membership. Go down the street. Get to learn and know those people. Like that's a lot of work. Imagine that.
Right. Yeah.
And then you just like, just let me go to Orange Theory where it's just a circuit and they're not going to talk. Like, let me just do this. Fine. I'd be frustrated too. So I'm still trying to figure out what the area is so I can look at the affiliate map and be like, all right, where have you tried? And let me see if I know anyone in these other gyms. And like, all right, this one's 15 minutes extra away, but I promise they will take care of you,
Yeah.
And then I hope they will. So yeah, interesting. Cool. Well, we're back at it. The week 1 of the Open is not done yet. There's still tomorrow to do the workout. And who knows, you might wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what? I'm ready. I'll do it.
Yeah.
You never know. And then we will have a couple days of rest and then workout number 2. We'll see what it's going to be. I have a dreaded feeling now it's going to be that thruster double under 20-minute AMRAP toes to bar workout now for the repeat.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have looked at the 2020 workouts, but so yeah, cool. Miguel, any closing thoughts on the Open, your experience, anything like that?
No, just good luck to everyone participating in the Open. It's a fun time. Do something fun with your gym, coach people, judge people, make it a fun event, I guess.
Yeah. So that's all we can do. Just have a good experience. Cool. Well, Miguel, where can people follow you?
Couldn't be Miguel on Instagram.
Yeah. Follow me, James A. McDermott, Albany CrossFit, Albany CrossFit Barbell Club, the Barbell Strikes Back, all the stuff. And thank you for listening. Later, Miguel.
Bye.